You're done? Okay. Because that song, don't love me, Good morning. Good morning, good morning. So, we are continuing our little study from the book that I'm using by Pema Chodron, When Things Fall Apart. Well, I like to say, appear to fall apart. And what she says to that is relaxing with the present moment, relaxing with hopelessness, relaxing with death, not resisting the fact that things end, that things pass, that things have no lasting substance, that everything is changing all the time. That is the basic message. So we just relax into it, or simply, and so it is now, and what are you going to do about it? Right? What are we going to do about it? So recently, I'm sure most of us have experienced some sort of stress in our lives. Right, at one point. So this past Friday, I got a demonstration of that. And I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest condensed version of what happened. So Friday, my husband had a procedure he was supposed to have done in Tempe. And I was supposed to be at a meeting at 4:30, and then we were going to leave for California after that. So we packed our Suburban, which my husband lovingly likes to call the BMW. And I'll give you a hint why he calls it that. He purchased it in Salt Lake City, Utah. Big Mormon wagon. So that's why, and I call it lovingly the beast. So because it does everything, for us. So I'm that morning waking up thinking, okay, we've got all these things, or I have all these things I have to be at and do. And I'm thinking, okay, I have to be there for my husband. I also have to be at this meeting at 4:30 in the afternoon. And I'm thinking, okay, he's got a 1:45 appointment. And I have a 1:30 appointment back in Tucson. So mind you, we're supposed to go to Tempe. And then I'm supposed to end up in Tucson. So we're, getting things together. And the dogs are all saddled up and in the car. And we're tooling along the road. And I'm sitting there and I'm driving and I'm thinking, God, I know you got this. I know that I can do all these things in divine time, right? I can get all these things that are required of me today done. And I know I can do it safely. And then I thought, okay, I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to stress over it. I'm just knowing that it's going to happen. So my husband drives like Mario Andretti. And I tend to putt along behind him. So he was considerably in front of me, and all of a sudden I get this call. And he goes, honey, he says, I blew a tire on the side of the road. I went, oh no, okay. So I pull up and there he is, and it's just shredded. There's nothing pretty much left. So he goes, well, what are we gonna do? I said, roadside service. He says, no, I can do it. I said, you're not going to change a tire at 109 degrees. So anyway, we got the roadside service. The guy came out. It took 45 minutes for him to get there. And then the guy went around and he said, if you're planning on going to California later this afternoon, I wouldn't do it on these tires. He says, I'm not trying to upsell you, but he says, go somewhere, go to the next place you can and get another group of tires because these other three are not going to get you across that border. And I looked at him and I said, okay. So he made plans of getting the tires done, and we still had a 2-hour window before he had to be at his doctor's appointment. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, this is going to be a divine time. And so then we got the tires, and the guy said, well, it's going to take another hour. So our 2-hour window went gone. And so my husband looked at me and goes, well, I guess I have to cancel my doctor appointment. And I'm sitting there going, and I started laughing. Because what happened is everything was cleared for me not even have to leave Tucson. I don't have to go to Tempe. He reschedules. I'm able to show up at my 4:30 appointment with a group that I'm supposed to lead. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh my God, I love God. Because the way was made clear. Everything was in my favor. No, was set up for me. in so much gratitude that here this happened. His got rescheduled. Mine was still on time. I was still able to do the 4:30 appointment, and we were still able to leave for California on 4 new tires. And he looked at me and he said, and of course, I'll forgive him. He's a retired United Church of Christ minister, so I'll forgive him. And he was like, whoa, and I'm like, okay, positive here. And I want to teach this to all of you. When things like this happen, of course, we always go to the negative. Oh my God, now I got to spend money for this, and I got to do that, and this is going to happen. Okay. The positive things were, we were half a mile from a sign that says, okay, I'm going to get this wrong, I know it. Picacho Pass? Okay. I always want to call it Cacheco. I don't know why. So we're less than a half a mile from this sign. And if we had been beyond that sign, the gentleman that helped us wouldn't have been able to help us. And what happened is he looked at the tires, he guided us to a place in Tucson, and everything went boom, 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 boom. And he was like, ooh, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, let's look at it this way. This gentleman came out and helped us. He not only helped us, but he referred us. And then it was like a tumbling, like case of dominoes for everything to work in our favor. So how many of you will look at a situation and say, oh, well, this is what happened. But you don't look at the bright side of, okay, we're now driving on 4 safe tires. And we can get wherever we want to go. In Buddhism, it says suffering is not caused by pain. It is rather the resistance to the pain and in craving and attachment to what we don't have. Okay, so what we say is the suffering is not caused by pain, but rather the resistance to pain. Why would I want to be in pain? Why would any of us want to be in pain? When actually we can go through it. I have this saying, if God leads me to it, God will lead me through it. And Pema Chodron goes on to say, maybe the most important teaching is to lighten up and relax. No, couldn't do that. It's such a huge help in working with our crazy, mixed up minds to remember that what we're doing is unlocking a softness that is in us and letting it spread. We're letting it blur the sharp corners of self-criticism and complaint. What we think about, like life events like that happens, we tend to say, oh, well, this is going to delay me, this is going to do this. But yet, let's look at the other side of it. Let's look at how it's helping us. So when we're in a stressful situation and we're thinking, okay, how are we going to make these 2 ends meet? You say, you know what? I don't have to do this. I can let it go and let Spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, do the work. And that's exactly what I did. Even though I kind of was like, okay, how am I going to do this? I had to let it go. Yes, even ministers do that. I let it go and I let God. And then it all transpired the way it should. Shakespeare said once, what is the purpose in watching your thoughts? Ooh, thoughts are things. So when we think about something, we should be very careful because sometimes it can come to fruition. Not that I wanted my husband to have a blowout, but all I could think about was, how am I going to do this? How is something like, my day going to happen? And it did, because I let it go. He also said, Shakespeare said, to unmask falsehood and bring truth to light, there is nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. The fault is not in the stars. Ooh, here's the big word. In ourselves. So in the science of mind, there is what we call cause and effect. What we think can manifest. So that's why when we say, when you think of things, watch your thoughts, because sometimes it does come true. And we think, well, how did that happen? Well, did you think about what you just thought? Maybe it was what you thought. And what happened is Spirit said, oh, are you sure you want that? And we're not going, yeah, I guess so. And Spirit's going, well, okay, if that's if that's what you want, then that's what I will create. And so we do. So we have these creations that we do, and then we're experiencing and we're wondering why. However, there is a backup plan. When we experience these things, what we should actually do is say, what is mine to know? Actually, even better, what is mine to know about myself in this situation? What is mine to know about me and how I react? And what even more important is that relationship that we have with that divine self, with that God of our understanding. What is it and how is it that we are reacting with it? See, there's no separation. God is not guy in the sky or girl in the sky, whatever you want to call it. God is right here. It's right here in our hearts. So when we look outside of ourselves, there's nothing there. We're putting it in the outside world when actually we should bring it in and saying, okay, divine self, divine leader, divine guidance, that I know that love and light is existing right here, right now. I know that there is an answer to whatever is going on in my life. And I trust this answer. And I know that I will be guided to that answer. But the most important part is that what we believe, we receive. So when you do believe with all your heart, with conviction, that whatever it is that you have put forward, you will get back. Did y'all know suffering is optional? It is. Whenever we experience stress, anything from mild discomfort to intense sorrow, rage, or despair, we can be certain that there is a specific thought causing our reaction, whether or not we are conscious of it. So, y'all know about that knee-jerk reaction stuff? That's it. It's not the fact that we take a moment and we go, okay, breathe. No, we're immediately like in it. And then we've got all this mental coin that we've spent immediately. And then when we step back and we can actually breathe and say, oh, this or something better. Yeah, I get it now. I get it. And Ernest Holmes, our founder, said, as you learn to release all your burdens to the right action of God, you will find that everything falls into a proper place. You think? I think so. When we release it, when we quit hanging on with dear life to control it, things will get better. What happens is we're human. And human, of course, we feel that we can control everything. But how many of us have had that experience that when we try to control something, it goes even more wonky? Because we're in it. We're trying to, okay, well, I can fix it. We're so codependent with ourselves. We really are. We're always trying to fix it. But what would it look like, and how would the experience be if we just let it go? Now, I'm not saying let it go and be, reckless. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is get that backpack of stuff off your back and give it over to the higher power that you know and you believe in. Just let it go. Let it go. Please. When we believe our thoughts instead of what is really true for us, we experience the kinds of distress that we call suffering. That is about realizing for yourself internal cause and effect. So what we know we do will affect something else. Have you ever lined up dominoes and then you let them go and they go blah, 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 blah. That's kind of like what we do in our life. Is we put something in our thought and then it comes out. It can either, and I'll be quite honest, good, bad, or ugly, depending on our belief system. Do we believe that that is going to be a good thing for us or a bad thing? Or, we go into a situation and we've got these expectations. And then all of a sudden, we put down on it. And then we start coloring it with a story that we've created in our heads that, no, it's going to work out this way. Oh, it always does this for me. I know that's the way it's going to be. That's how it is for me. Really? What would it be? What would the experience be is instead of being the Eeyore that you want to be all the time, that you say, no, this is what I expect and this is what I know is going to happen. You turn it around. Zen proverb says, step aside from all thinking and there is nowhere you can't go. So when you get out of your way, oh my gosh, imagine the journey that you can be on. Imagine the things that you can do. Imagine all that can be accomplished. Byron Katie said, I can find only 3 kinds of truth in the universe: mine, yours, and God's. Much of our stress comes from mentally living out of our business. When I think you need to get a job, I want you to be happy. You should be on time. You need to take better care of yourself, blah, 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 blah. So what is she doing? She's directing. She's wanting something else for this, whoever it is. If I'm in your business, what I'm doing is I'm actually causing separation. And what that means is that I'm so into what you're doing and I'm directing you that I'm creating this separation. When really I should just, as a friend or guidance, just say, you know what? God's got this. God's so got this. And so we know that for that person. I'm sure most of us love to make up stories about different things in our lives. In fact, I have my husband, love him dearly, but he makes up these stories. And I can tell you there's some times where he'll be like, blah, 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 and I'll sit there and I'll go, are you kidding me? Exactly. And I think, okay, does this story have a happy ending or not? Yes, think about it. When you write your stories of what's going to happen, because we're all psychic, what's your ending? What is your ending? I certainly hope it's a positive one, that you get what you want to receive. We can't predict the future, even though we want to. But what we can do is we can control whatever it is by thinking good thoughts, by knowing this or something better. How can that help? How can that hurt us? So Byron Katie, who's the author of Loving What It Is, I love this. These are 4 questions that I would like to give you this morning about any kind of situation. So when there's something going on and you're definitely, got the pen and paper ready to write that story about whatever's going on, ask yourself, is it true? Is it true? Is it really, really true? Ask your heart, not your mind, but ask your heart. Then the second question, can you absolutely know that it's true? Right? Can you absolutely know that it's true without a doubt, with that conviction that it is absolutely, that's what it is? The story gets less dramatic. 3, can you react when you think that thought? How do you react when you think that thought? What is your first reaction? Is it lighting your hair on fire and running? Or is it simply allowing yourself to say, okay, this is what I know. This is what I know to be true. And you ask your heart, this is what I know. And then it's like, oh, okay, this is all the garbage that I was putting in here thinking it was true. Now the last question. Who would you be without the thought? Ooh, yeah. Who would you be without the thought? Do you want to be the drama person? Or do you want to live from peace? You know, so many of our things that go on is because we like to live in the drama. Why? Why? Do you know how much energy you all spend in drama? My gosh, the actors up here on the stage spend less energy than we do in our issues. Yes, they do. Some of us might be afraid to go that deep because we're afraid of what we might know. Good! You need to know more about yourself. You know, that divine relationship is an amazing one, and it's not going to hurt you, it's just going to love you. So when we decide to go deep, when we decide to ask that spiritual relationship, that divine presence within us, it will reveal what it is we are to know. So I'll leave you with this thought. Imagine walking in the world without fear, sadness, or anger, ready to meet anything or anyone with arms and heart wide open. That's God's desire for you. We can love what is because God loves us first. Namaste. I love you, and so it is.